Hello there, lovely people. It's Alex from Nintendo Life here, and today we're going to be looking at just some of the awful reviews for Pokémon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. Yes, in case you didn't realize, Pokémon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee both reviewed fairly well overall. You know, everyone was like, yeah, that's pretty good. But as is the case with any game that tries to do anything remotely different, lots of people took umbrage with this. And, you know, understandably, there are some problems with the games. You know, I don't think the games are perfect by any means. I have my own problems with them, mainly the controls. But a certain selection of people, a tiny fraction of people, still feel that their opinion is more important than everybody else's, and so indulged in the wonderful art of review bombing. In case you don't know, review bombing is where people will en masse go to a website like Metacritic or something like that, which is where all these reviews are taken from, and they will give a game a ridiculously low score that doesn't make any sense because they feel that the score a game has been given is too high, and that's not how reviews work. And then in retaliation, people who like the game were going on there and giving it 10 out of 10, and do you see why this doesn't work? But anyway, that's more than enough waffling. Let's dive right into things. Obviously, all these reviews have been stripped of their names because I don't want to be shaming people or, you know, putting them up. You know, I just want to read out the silly things that they've written. Kanto has never been so exploited and simplified. It seems like a game for people with serious attention deficit. Pokémon was already an accessible RPG. It was not necessary to do it, but with difficulty for babies. 0 out of 10. I've got a couple of problems with this. First of all, Pokémon is not an accessible RPG, not by any stretch of the imagination. I think that's why they made this game, to try and help people into the game. You know, people who like Go can see this and think, hey, that looks cool, but they're not going to dive in and think, oh Christ, what's an IV? Pokémon may have started accessible, but over the years it's become anything but, because people want more details, more new things, more new features, more new mechanics. You know, things like abilities. I mean, they're not that new, but you know, Pokémon abilities and new types and, you know, IVs, EVs, all these different things. You know, you've got things like super training, that's sort of IVs, and well, it's not IVs, it's EVs and things like that. And you know, all these different mechanics come in, and it makes for an extremely complicated game. If you've grown up with the series like I have, you probably take it for granted and you just sort of think, oh yeah, well, you know, that ground type wouldn't have worked against that Pokemon because it's a flying type, but it also won't work against a Pokemon with the ability Levitate. And somebody might ask, how do you know that Pokemon's got Levitate? And you go, I just know! I love Pokemon to death, I really, really do. I'm still critical of the games, and you know, I don't think by any means that Pokemon Let's Go, either one, is the best Pokemon game ever. I don't think either of them are the best Pokemon game ever, far from it. I think that, you know, there are loads of things they could improve upon, but it's worth more than a 0 out of 10, I'll give you that. Ignore all the positive reviews for this game. They are either non-gamers, oh god, or paid shills. First of all, the whole thing about paying for reviews, that's not true. I think maybe it would have been at one point. I think it stems from the whole Drivergate scandal, which, if you don't know about, actually there's a damn good video about it, so I'll put a link in the description if you want to check out that. But yeah, these days, just as far as I know, it just doesn't happen. Also, non-gamers. Let's not get into that. Carrying on, what this game does wrong. Removal of wild Pokemon battles. Yes, I know Colosseum did the same thing, but that was because of its heightened emphasis of battling and overall difficulty. That's not true, there are still wild battles in the game, only a handful, admittedly, so, you know, on the whole, not in the traditional sense, you know, but they are still in there. Also, I'm pretty sure Colosseum didn't have wild battles just because of logistics, or something like that, so they didn't have to make, you know, all the stuff for wild battles as well. Unlike the 3DS games, this game doesn't have the XP share. Instead, it is built into the game's XP algorithm. Yeah, I can understand why that would be annoying for some people, and but, you know, is it that big of a deal? Really? Is it worth giving the game... Well, I was going to keep the score a secret, but it's another 0 out of 10. Lack of challenge whatsoever. Your starter being broken doesn't help either. Yeah, the starter Pokemon can be a little bit overpowered, but they can still be beaten. You know, they've still got typing. You know, if you got Eevee, you can be absolutely destroyed by a fighting Pokemon. If you got Pikachu, you can be destroyed by a ground Pokemon. Like, seriously? I mean, you can learn like Splishy Splash, but I'd say the game's definitely easier, but to say there's no challenge at all is stupid. I think in this game, because I'm sure, I can't say for certain because I never actually played Yellow to completion, but I'm sure there are way more trainer battles in this game than there were in any of the others, probably to make up for the general lack of wild encounters, which is, you know, well, wild battles, which is fine, but even so, you know, trainer battles are always going to be more challenging, and, you know, I think I've genuinely used more items in Pokemon Let's Go than I have in any other previous game. I don't know if it's the way I'm playing it per se, but you know, I wouldn't say it lacked any challenge. I think that's just stupid. Although the whole candy system is kind of broken. You can only get Mew if you spend $50 more. Yeah, yeah, fair enough, that is crap. Tries too hard to pander to Gen 1ers to the point of disrespecting the franchise's history. Oh my lord. So at the same time as pandering to the people who have played the games for the longest, the Gen 1ers, and at the same time, disrespecting the franchise's history. I mean, those don't go together. Actually, I think this is a good point to say that I don't think that anyone with negative criticisms or negative opinions of the game is necessarily wrong. You can't have an opinion and be wrong. You can base that opinion on incorrect information, of course, but I don't disregard any of these opinions and say, oh, they're just wrong, because they can't be wrong. They're an opinion. I do think the opinions are stupid, however. 0 out of 10. Let's move on to another one. This is not Pokemon, this is Pokemon Go! This is a game about buying and throwing Pokeballs instead of battling Pokemon. I've had more trainer battles in this game than I have in any of the previous games that I've ever played in Pokemon, or at least it certainly feels that way. There are loads of battles in the game. That's what the whole thing is based around. You can't progress in the game without battling Pokemon! I don't know if the critics were afraid of giving a big franchise and much hyped game bad reviews or what, but this game does not deserve an 81 Metascore. 0 out of 10. I mean, you could argue it doesn't deserve a 0 either. Here's an idea. Give the game the score you think it deserves, and presumably you don't think that it is the worst game ever produced and therefore is a game that is totally broken and of no merit, and it does at least have something worthwhile in it, rather than giving it a 0. Because a 0 would suggest it was completely broken and without merit. Big companies aren't afraid of giving a game a bad score. Some people relish in it. I mean, I can actually see a game over here from a well-beloved franchise that got absolutely panned because it was awful. What game? This one that's still sealed because I haven't opened it because it is genuinely terrible. I bought it for the amiibo. Make Pokemon good again! It's a simple formula, and yet Nintendo can't seem to make a classic and enjoyable Pokemon game anymore. 0 out of 10. Well, for a start, Nintendo don't make Pokemon games. The Pokemon Company produces them, Nintendo publishes them, and this one was developed by Game Freak. They're not Nintendo. This one's mainly just bad because it doesn't actually review the game. It just says they can't make a good game. Makes literally no reference to Let's Go. The good. You can have following Pokemon. You can ride some Pokemon. The Master Trainers. The bad. Insultingly easy. It is press A to win. Okay, I understand hyperbole as much as anyone, but no. Eliminated wild battles. We've been through this. I dislike the go-catching method. Okay, fair enough. You're just saying you dislike it, that's fine, that's better than just saying it's bad. Eliminated competitive play, has it? I mean, it was never designed to be a competitive game. The whole breeding aspect! Yeah, true, yeah, they have got rid of breeding. I'm guessing just because it's too complex? Eliminated 6 entire generations from the Pokédex. You're right, they did, because this is designed to be a simpler game to pick up that is sort of an entry point to the series, rather than being the latest. Eliminated day and night cycle. Yeah, it's a remake of Yellow. Yellow never had it. They could have thrown it in, but I don't know, probably would have just complicated things, maybe? I don't know. Actually, I kind of would have liked that. Protagonists are too young. What is it in the originals? You're like a 10-year-old boy going out, and it was only a boy back then. Yeah, 10. How old are they in this? I don't know, but they look maybe 11. Rival is too friendly. excessive focus on cuteness. Basically, it is a step in the wrong direction for the series. This is not a step for this is a sidestep. This is another leg. This is another leg taking a step. This isn't the main series. This is a remake. The remakes have never been part of the main sort of continuum of the games. You know, they are sort of core or mainline, or you know, what the hell do they call them? Terminology, damn it! This isn't Gen 8, it is a side project. It's not what the new Pokemon's going to be. It's still Generation 7. It's the same generation as Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. It's not the next step. Oh my god. Relying on nostalgia by Gen 1ers, that great term again, and the success of Pokemon Go Mobile. Make the games a challenge, please. At least provide difficulty options. 1 out of 10. Isn't the whole point of Pokemon that you make it as difficult as you want it to be? I mean, you could argue that yes, you know, certain Pokemon games will be inherently more difficult than others, but you can make the game more difficult for yourself by the Pokemon in which you choose. You could go for a monotype team, which puts you at a disadvantage if, you know, you do bug and you go up against a fire gym. You've got the tools to make the game as hard as you like. You know, I've played the entire game without using Eevee. I've got Let's Go Eevee. I don't use Eevee because I want a different Pokemon. And I think Eevee's adorable, but I've got like a Victreebel instead. Because basically the same. I used to have unwavering faith in the franchise, went in almost blind expecting great things from this latest new installation? One advised, don't buy this, and then just 4 asterisks, so I'm presuming they meant game? 0 out of 10. First of all, you should never have unwavering faith in any franchise or in anything really. You should always remain slightly skeptical, even if it feels like it's sort of unromantic or something like that, you know. Anything, always have your doubts, always be a little bit cautious. I'm not saying don't be optimistic, of course, I think of myself as a relatively optimistic person. But there's no— camera just cut out. No game series, no film series, no form of art, nothing in the world is completely infallible. You should never have unwavering faith in anything. You are just setting yourself up to be disappointed because nothing will ever be perfect. Difficult to say anything else about this because they once again don't mention Let's Go at all. A very lazy-illy made game that simply exists to make money. We'll come on to that. No care or effort was put into this sad excuse of a video game. Should have put it on mobile phones where it belongs, or better yet, the trash can.
0 out of 10.
Okay, first of all, this game wouldn't run on phones. It's too complex. I mean, maybe you could shoehorn it in some way, maybe you could get it running, but oh god, I'm not even gonna go down that rabbit hole, Jesus. But comrade, let me introduce you to a concept called capitalism. Every single game that you will buy is made to make money. Nobody's doing it out of the goodness of their heart. Some people find passion in it, absolutely, and there is artistic merit in games, but don't think for a moment that Super Smash Bros. Or Pokémon is being made because the people just think, you know what? I think I'm going to make a game that will make people happy. Because if they wanted to do that, they do it for free. People do it because they, 1, want to make people happy, but 2, want to make money. People want to live. People, you know, otherwise it would be wonderful if we lived in a sort of a Star Trek utopia where people just do things for the love of it and, you know, nobody has to worry about money or anything like that, but we live in a capitalist society. Everything that you buy is made to make money. That's how it works. That is capitalism. Pokemon Let's Go is a disgrace to anyone who actually liked Pokemon prior to this game's release. No wild battles. No held items. Yeah, that's true. Broken online play. Is it broken? I've not had a problem. This is a refurbished game from 20 years ago with less content than all but a few of its predecessors. A move introduced in this game called Baddie Bad describes this game quite well. That was marginally amusing. Damn. The only thing I liked about this game was the wild Pokemon in the overworld. Unfortunately, it is ruined by the fact that I cannot battle them. Yeah, the Pokemon being open in the wild, I genuinely really hope they put that in Pokemon 2019 because, I really like that. I know a lot of people are just like, it reduces the random aspects, and fair enough, but no, I like seeing the Pokemon. It makes the world feel alive. Even if the targeted audience is children, this game is a huge game U to any longtime fans of the franchise. I hope Game Freak does not continue down this path of Pokemon Go-like games. If you want a fun experience in Kanto, I would recommend playing Fire Red or Leaf Green. You'll find that they have more content than these games ever will, with a roster more than twice as big. Not recommended.
0 out of 10.
This is probably one of the more cohesive ones, but even so, it doesn't really it just sort of says it has this, it's bad. It doesn't really sort of go into any detail. But again, we're looking at this sort of, oh, I hope Game Freak don't go down this path. At least they know it's Game Freak. And that is not the case. It's never going to be the case. It was never intended to be the case. This game could sell 40 million units and they would still go, whoa, that's really good. We've got loads more Pokemon fans for our new Pokemon game coming out in 2019. They might take some elements from it, but, you know, if you think they're going to ditch the whole sort of thing that they've been building up with Pokemon, you know, all of the abilities and all of the different Pokemon, and just going to ditch them and say, nah, let's just make Pokemon Go, but in HD, that's just not going to happen. Come on. I've just realized Pokemon Go is probably in HD for most people. This is honestly a spit on the face to fans of the franchise. Charging $60 US for literally Pokemon Yellow with HD graphics does not seem like a good business decision on Game Freak's end. Game Freak probably didn't have a choice. There's less content than Fire Red and Leaf Green. Oh, here we go again. Take that into consideration. 0 out of 10. Well, first of all, I don't think you know what literally means, because it's not literally Pokemon Yellow with HD graphics. This also really smacks of someone who hasn't played the game, which I imagine there's quite a few people who have left these reviews and haven't played the game, because people do that, which sort of inherently makes a review invalid. I mean, you could certainly give your opinion on something, but it's not a review. A review is something where you review something, you know, means you experienced it. That's what it means. Okay, let's end off with horrible. Game lacks any sort of soul, effort, and content. Do yourself a favor and buy anything else. Anything? Well, I took your advice and I bought— oh, Jesus! And there you have it. That's just a handful of the ridiculous review bombing that's been happening over on Metacritic. I believe these were all taken from the Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu page. Maybe some from Eevee, I've lost track. Once again, I want to really emphasize that none of these opinions are invalid. People are, you know, more than welcome to have negative views on a game. It's what makes games better. If everyone was just happy with what they received, we wouldn't get anywhere. But, you know, I do think that there is certainly a level of just complete nonsense. And just as someone is able to disagree maybe with my opinion of the game, I'm allowed to disagree with your opinion. That's the whole point. So don't take this too seriously. It's not going to harm the game in the long run. It's also not going to sort of reinforce the game in the long run. It's just a bit of fun, and these videos tend to do well. And I like to eat. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, then why don't you give the adventures of that subscribe button a 0 out of 10 on Metacritic, or a 1 if you're feeling very generous, and be sure to check out NintendoLife.com for all sorts of lovely Nintendo-related content. Thank you again for watching. Bye-bye. Anything? I bought an ocarina.